Come on down into your child's pose. Allow yourself to get nice and heavy here. And then if you notice that this is just quite a tense posture, it's not quite feeling relaxing, you can change it up and make it a little bit more open by widening your knees and or stacking your forearms and just resting your forehead there instead of the floor. So please use those options and toggle them as necessary. Begin to notice your breath, please. Big inhales, big exhales. Expanding the back body and the front body. Okay, become aware, perhaps, of a really gentle stretch in your low back as your hips move away from your rib cage and vice versa. Kind of neutralizing that low back, taking out the lumbar curve. And notice also that in the back of your neck, your cervical curve, that curvature has also been erased by this posture. And that's why it's called child's posture. When you're born, you only have a single continuous curved spine. It's like a rainbow shape. But when you learn to raise your head, you get the cervical curve in the back of your neck. And when you learn to lift your upper body, you get the lumbar curve. So there's a little yoga trivia. And keep deepening your breath. Expanding across the collarbones, expanding the space in the belly. And let's start to strengthen the inhales as well and use them to be just as inward moving use the exhales to be just as inward moving as the inhales are outward moving. So drawing inward on the exhales, pressing the breath out. Expanding on the inhales, inviting air in. And let's just build a very gentle twist into this posture. So if your hands are anywhere else, just bring them forward and walk them in towards you a little bit so that you can lift your head just enough to reach this left arm all the way under the right so that you're reaching out to the right. And perhaps you could even bring the left shoulder down and the left ear down. And we'll breathe right here for a moment. So you can make this really gentle, just kind of find the right placement. Make sure the neck can still be long. And then perhaps if you want a little bit more here, you can reach that right arm up. Start to press the left arm into the floor so you're pressing the left hand down. And you feel that you're twisting open at the upper body. And maybe that right arm drops across your back and you can kind of grab your left thigh. I like to grab the left thigh and kind of use it like a handle. All right, let's bring that through center. And over to the other side. So if you lift your head just enough, you can slide the right arm under the left. Reach out, thread that needle, and drop that right shoulder. Maybe drop the right ear. Maybe take a little while to kind of wiggle it just right. And then if you decide this twist should be a little deeper, start to press the right arm into the floor. Reach up with the left, so feel that big twist across your chest. Breathe. Maybe the left arm falls across your back, and see if you can grab that right thigh. Kind of grab it, hold on to it, maybe deepen the twist more. Well, let's back up out of that. Come back through center. And up to hands and knees. Pull yourself up to hands and knees. After that long child's pose, let's take our hands a bit wide and our knees a bit wide. And we'll circle it out. It's kind of gently revolving hips and shoulders in their sockets. Oh, you might get some crackles and pops. All right, move it back the other way. And we'll step it back into center. So hands back under shoulders and knees back under hips. Let's get that left knee up and circle out the hip. So left knee making big circles. Let's try to keep the hips level for now. So we'll imagine that we can't lift the right hip above we can't lift the left hip above the right. Okay, and revolve it the other way. Take it back. Notice you might feel a bit limited with how much you can revolve it because we can't lift the hip. Okay, but now say we can lift the hip. Lift up that left hip, stack it over the right. Big movement. And revolve that big movement the other way. Take it around, stack the hip, open it up. Okay, and then let's get that left knee up in the air. Left toe is pointed at the ceiling. So make sure your hips stay level with the mat for now. We'll lift the hips up or lift the belly button up and in. Push the floor nice and strong. And we'll lift that left toe. Lift, lift, lift. We'll take a few more rounds of lifting and lowering. And now lift and hold. Make sure the left hip is internally rotating. Make sure your belly button is in. Could we lift the knee 1 millimeter higher? One more big breath here. And let it go. Swing that left knee forward and drop it, that left foot outside your left hand. And we'll start to circle the hips around here. So move the hips around in some circles. Move it around back the other way. And then let's settle into this little low lunge. We can use the left leg to press ourselves up here. So come on up. And let's put a little engagement between the legs so we don't have to use all the strength available to us, but some, maybe 5 to 10%, just so that there's some engagement for sure. We're not just sinking or collapsing into the legs. Lift that belly button up and in towards your spine. And if it makes sense for you, you can interlace your fingers and press them down on that left knee and lift the heart a little bit more that way. Let's pretend that we have a little bit of a pull back in that left heel, like the left heel wants to move toward the back of the mat. Feel your left hamstring turn on, okay? Let's imagine the right knee wants to be close to the left heel and it's trying to draw forward. It might feel good to have one hand up in the air here, maybe two. Activate the legs. Let a little bit of heat build there, okay? One more big breath in right here. And exhale, bring it down. Drop your hands under your shoulders. Okay, pause right here. I'm gonna turn a little bit to face you so that you can see what I'm doing, okay? We'll just pull the hips back so that they're over the right knee. Okay, and this is where I'll spin around to face you. Go ahead and walk your hands out to the right and point your right toes back behind you and put that left big toe on the floor. So we've changed directions completely. The left arch is on the floor, hands under shoulders, just like you're in hands and knees with the rest of your body. But let's start to shimmy the left foot out there. And take it as far out as you want. Make sure your hands come along so they're under your shoulders. And then once you find that spot out there with the left foot where you're getting the perfect amount of opening on your inner thigh, nothing crazy, just start to rock back and forth. Gentle movement back and forth. And then we can play around with flexing that left ankle and pointing the toes up and forward. Pointing the toes up and forward. Maybe one more time. All right, as you're ready, let's take it back to center. Let's walk the hands back over by the left foot. Spin the right knee. Spin on that right knee to point the right toes behind. And we'll take this left leg back to hands and knees. Again, take the hands wide, feet wide. Let's circle it out. And go around the other way. And then hands and knees back to normal under your shoulders and hips. And we'll get the right knee up. Keep the hips level for now. We'll circle out that hip. Rewind it. Keep that right hip low. I know it's tempting to pick it up. And now open up the hips. Stack it on top of the left. Big, big, big shape. Huge shape. And let's rewind that. All right. Next time that right knee points back, hold right there. Internally rotate the right hip. Lift that belly button. And we'll kind of pulse the right toes up and down a few times. Okay, kind of waking up your glutes here. Glutes tend to get really tight. And so if we want them to let go, we need to warm them a little bit first so that we don't risk any kind of injury or accumulate any scar tissue. Okay, lift and hold, breathe. Wrap that belly button up. Could we lift the right knee a little higher? 3, 2, 1. Let it go. Swing the right foot forward. Drop it outside the right hand. And we'll circle it out here a little bit. Kind of a little circly lunge. Finding any little tense places in the hips, let them go, okay? Circle it back the other way. All right, settle back in, and then we'll come up into this low lunge. So use your right leg to press up, and then put some strength in the legs, put some engagement between the knees, okay? Imagine that front heel is trying to move back, and the back knee is trying to move forward. Maybe you use your right leg and press your hands onto it. Maybe one arm or two arms come up, you decide. But pull back on that right heel just as much as feels okay. We're just trying to warm the legs a little bit, okay? If we want to open up that hamstring and that hip flexor, we have to get them warm. One more big breath here. And let it go. Drop your hands under your shoulders. And here's where we'll completely change direction. So if you walk your hands out to the left, all the way out to the left, pivot on your left knee so the left toes point to the right, and drop the right toes. Then you're pretty much on a hands and knees with the right leg out long. Okay, I'll spin around to face you. So we're on the other side. Same idea, okay? Walk that right foot out until you find the perfect amount of opening on the inside of that right leg, okay? It might be totally different than the other side, so try not to have any expectations. Once you find that spot, rock forward and back a few times. And then maybe try rocking the toes to point up and then point forward a few times. Toes point up and forward. Okay, bringing it back to center as you're ready. Walk your hands all the way back around. Okay, oops, all the way back around to the right. Swing that left lower leg around and we'll bring it back to hands and knees. Take a moment here on hands and knees. Take the hands wide, feet wide, circle it out. How are hips and shoulders feeling? Back body feeling, front body. Other way. As you're ready, from here, we're going to do another twist, okay? So from here, press into your left hand, reach up with your right. Think of strengthening that left shoulder instead of just yanking into it, okay? Reaching up as you push down. Big breath in here. With your exhale, reach your right arm very far under your left. See if you can put your right shoulder down next to your left hand, okay? And then we're coming back up. Inhale, push the floor down, reach up, maybe look up, twisting your spine. And exhale, reach under that left arm so far you have to bend the left elbow. One more like that, okay? Come up on the inhale. And fold it on the exhale. Come on down. Okay, let's hold here. In this little inverted twist. If this is quite enough, just hang out right here. Make sure your spine is long. Okay, if you feel like your spine is crunched, you might need to move your knees back a little bit. But if all is going well here, just like when we were in that child's pose before, you might start to push the floor with your right arm. So actively pushing down in that right arm, maybe reaching up with the left. Maybe, just like before, we take that left hand behind the back and grab the right thigh. You can hold it like a handle. Breathe here. All right, we're bringing it back to center. So come back with the left hand on the floor, back up to hands and knees. Switching sides, right hand is the grounded hand. Inhaling, left hand up, push into the right. Exhaling, thread that needle. See if you can drop the left shoulder very close to the right. Right hand, sorry. Close to the right hand. Inhaling to press up. Exhaling to thread the needle. One more just like that. Bring it up. And bring it down. Hold right here. Okay. Maybe decide that this is quite enough. Maybe start to press that left arm into the ground. Reach up with the right. Deepen that twist. Only if it feels good. Perhaps that right arm drops across your back and grabs that left thigh. One more big breath here. And we're letting that go. Right hand back to the floor. Left hand back to the floor. Friends, from here, come all the way down to your elbows. And then scooch your knees back so you're on your belly. So here we are in a Sphinx pose. And I think Sphinx pose is wonderful because it's a super helpful posture trainer. For most of us, posture is kind of a struggle. It's hard to keep that excellent long spine when we've been sitting at a desk, and that's okay. And that's kind of what we're all dealing with in 2020. But dig your elbows into the floor here and get your hips really heavy in your Sphinx pose. So your hips are like your anchor for your spine. So close your eyes, visualize your spine extremely long, the hips pressing down. Could you especially press your tailbone as if you were trying to point your tailbone at the floor? Try that. Notice as you point your tailbone at the floor, your belly button naturally lifts up off the floor. And if you dig your elbows down and back, you can pull your heart up and forward. So let's breathe here in Sphinx. You have a big heart here. Tailbone wants to go down, belly button wants to go up. Elbows down and back, heart up and forward. Now you can see right here, just kind of working on opening up the chest, making the neck long, breathing into this. Or you could play around with a few options that I'm going to throw out there, okay? You can, if you like, come up on your palms, so lifting your elbows, but then you'll be using your hands to pull down and back, and you'll still be trying to pull that tailbone down, okay? Also, make sure your elbows point down and not out. If everything's going well here, you can bend your knees and point your toes at the back of your head. Keep pulling that heart up and forward, and maybe your knees will lift. Who knows? Breathe here. Tailbone down, belly button up, heart up. Big stretch for the whole front of your body, okay? The arms are getting warm, so use those arms. We're going to stretch the shoulders in a moment. So we want this warmth to build. One more big breath in here. And let it go. Come on down. Take your arms out like cactus arms. And just rest your right cheek on the floor, looking out to the left. And from here, I'll arrange you into one of my favorite shoulder stretches. Okay, I highly recommend it to you if you have any kind of chest tension or you tend to carry your stress in your chest and shoulders. Looking at your left hand, make sure that your left arm is at a right angle. So the elbow is at a very crisp right angle. And it tracks out from your shoulder, okay? Just level with your shoulder. For now, you'll be able to move it once we turn around, okay? So turn around, look to the right, and use your right fingertips on the floor to roll onto your left side. So at this point, once you're on your left side, move your left elbow up. Okay, it'll feel a little different, or down. You decide where you want it, okay? Move it till you've got the perfect spot. Once you've found that perfect spot for your left elbow, commit by bending your left knee and pulling it up and in, okay? And at this point, I'll spin around to face you. So once you're here, you've bent that left elbow in. Okay, you can decide whether you need to back out and just drop your right shoulder to the floor at any time, or whether you'd like to settle in and kind of deepen it. So feel free to stay here without deepening it. You can also make it a little more gentle by stacking your knees here. If everything's going great, extend the right leg. Let it rest on the floor though. And perhaps reach up with your right hand. Feel the left side of that shoulder opening up, so you should be feeling a lot in your left shoulder right now. But it should be good, okay? If you feel any bad things in your shoulder, back out. Find a way to come in and make it feel good, okay? Maybe that right arm just drops across your back. And I like to kind of wiggle my right fingertips underneath my left side and see if I can wiggle them all the way through underneath me. Breathe here, close your eyes. Relax into that left shoulder. Let each breath bring a little bit more space to that spot between your chest and your shoulder point. The whole perimeter of that shoulder blade and all the tissues underneath it. Relax. One more big breath here. And let's slowly unravel. Really take your time. Okay, there's no rush. You have time. Right hand back on the floor. Legs straighten out. Roll back to center. And we're already looking to the right. Okay, so arrange that right arm into the right angle at the elbow, tracking out from the shoulder. And just know that you can move it in a minute when we get into the posture. And we'll look to the left. Use that left hand to roll onto your right side. Slide the right elbow up or down. You might like it totally different on this side. I like mine high on the right and low on the left. And then maybe tuck your right knee in when you're ready to kind of commit. And I'll spin around to meet you again. So remember, you can stack your knees to make this more gentle. It's less twisty if you stack your knees. Okay, but if you like that left hip opening, if you like that twistiness, you can keep the leg long, rest it on the floor. Okay, breathe into that right armpit. Let all that tissue lengthen up and let go. Maybe the left hand reaches up. Okay, deepening that space across the chest. Okay, you've spun it open if you've got the arm up. And then for even more, you can drop the left arm across your back. Perhaps tucking and kind of wiggling those left fingertips underneath your right side. Okay, take your last few breaths enjoying this posture. If you're right-handed like me, this might be a little bit more intense on this side. If you're left-handed, maybe the other side was your sticky side. But you should always feel free to take a little bit longer on your sticky side. All right, take your time spinning out of this. Back onto your belly. Hands under shoulders. Press it up to hands and knees. Okay, from here, from a hands and knees posture, point your right knee straight back. And then over to the left. And then down at the floor. And you can put that right leg down. So you've just crossed your knees here. And walk your hands back until you can sit on your right foot. Okay, I like to flex my right ankle when I sit on the foot. You might like that too. So sit on your right foot. Your left leg just kind of awkwardly draped over your right leg as you sit on your foot. Okay, drop your fingers in front of you and make your longest spine. Make it a point to lengthen your spine here. And we'll start walking the hands forward maybe, if that feels right. We have a longest spine ever on the inhale. And with the exhales, we think of moving the heart past the knees. Let's take a few breaths here. It doesn't really matter how far you come down. We're looking for a nice opening in the low back, maybe the outer hip, glute perhaps. Maybe your elbows come down. Even though you're allowing the spine to round here, keep a feeling of trying to extend it. So even though it's rounding, the back body is working to lift up into an extension a little bit. Maybe drop your head, but keep some spaciousness in the back of your neck and the front of your neck. Walking yourself up out of this. As you're ready, come on up. And from here, just sit your hips a little bit over to the right. So sit your hips between your feet. Okay, you might have to move the right foot a little bit out of the way. Just make sure we have both the hips down here. Okay, sitting equally into that left hip. We might have to put a little extra weight in the left hip. Try to get your knees nice and close together, and we'll just hang out here in this cow face posture, Gomukhasana. So find your longest spine. And we might drop the fingers in front, just like we did before. We might start to walk the hands out a little bit. Remember, long spine inhales. Heart moves forward, exhale. Okay, from here, I'd like to turn this into a twist. So walk your hands over to the left here. And then your left hand will come all the way behind you, fingertips down to lengthen the spine that much more. That right forearm is on your left thigh, and you can press into the thigh to deepen the twist. Long spine on your inhale. Big twist on your exhale. And let's bring this back through center. From here, if you roll forward over your knees, roll forward, we can bring it back to hands and knees and switch sides. So this time, the left knee will point back and to the right, and then at the floor. And then you can flex that left foot because you know you're going to try to sit on it. Come back and sit on your left foot. The right leg is just kind of draped more or less awkwardly over the left. Fingertips down beside you. Long spine, inhale. And exhale, walk the hands forward. Remember to keep as much length as you can, especially in your neck, please. Allow the elbows to come down if they come down. Allow the head to come down too. With each inhale, longer spine. With each inhale, let go in the low back, let go in the hips. As you're ready, walk yourself back up. Hands walk back up. And this time, sit your hips to the left so that you sit between your feet. And we might need to move the left foot a little further out to the right so that we can actually get the right hip to the floor. And notice the right hip is extra light, and we might have to push down into it to get it to come down. Make sure the knees are close-ish, and we have fingertips on the floor, long spine, inhale. Exhale and walk the hands forward. One more nice breath here in Gomukhasana. And then walk your hands over to the right. Okay, the right hand will come all the way behind you. The left forearm on that right thigh, very convenient to deepen your twist as you look behind. Long spine, inhale. Big twist, exhale. All right, bring yourself back into center here. And we'll untangle the legs. Feel free to pick them up and place the feet on the floor after that. They might be feeling kind of noodly, and you might lean back on your hands and just windshield wiper hips for a little bit. Noticing how hips and low back are feeling. From here, stop when your knees are pointing up. And if you grab onto your knees, you can just roll yourself all the way back. Take a little time rocking the low back around on the floor. So I want to try a shoulder stand with you tonight, okay? If you already do shoulder stand on your own, then you don't need me to talk you through it. So if you can get yourself there safely, go ahead and get there. But if you'd rather talk and kind of walk through shoulder stand step by step with me, here we go, okay? I like to do it step by step because some people think, oh, shoulder stand is out of reach for me. It's not, because there are steps along the way, okay? So feel free to stop at any point and just hang right there. So you'll start out like you're coming up into a bridge posture with your feet on the ground, hands on the ground, knees pointing up. And instead of bringing your hips up, you'll pick your feet up and move your knees in. Use your strong hands to push the floor down, perhaps keeping your nose pointed up. Okay, don't let your chin tuck in towards your chest while you do this. Could you bring your knees up towards your forehead? So you've rolled your hips up off the floor. Okay, hang out right here and decide if it's good, bad, or okay. If it's bad, come out, back it up. If you can hang out here, put your hands on your low back and walk them up to your lowest ribs. Now, it's going to be challenging to keep your neck from collapsing to the floor, but make an extra effort here. Think about your upper body as your base. So you're pressing down into the back of your head and your shoulder blades and your elbows. So strong press down. Maybe your knees point up today. Maybe not. Maybe you bring the knees back in towards your forehead. If the knees come up, maybe the feet will stack up over the knees. And we want to think of making an extremely long, strong, pointy shape here. Push the shoulder blades down, squeeze the elbows down, make the back of the neck even longer. And remember to breathe. So shoulder stand is such an amazing posture. It has so many benefits that I don't even think that I can list all of them here for you right now. But just a few of them are that it lowers your stress hormone levels. It gives your heart a break from pumping. It drains all the lymph out of your lower body and cleans things out. Let's come out really controlled and slow. Bend the knees again. Bring the heels close to your glutes. Bend the hips. Knees come back towards your forehead. When your knees are on your forehead or close to it, you can extend your arms, hands back to the floor again, but pause here. Extend your legs and point your feet back behind you. Could we roll out in slow motion? Really slow, okay? One vertebra at a time comes down. Feet point back behind you, slow, slow. When your hips land, drop your feet. Extend those legs and rest. Come on down. Flip your hands and feet open and soft. Let your breath grow soft. Let your body grow soft. And mind too. Very soft in the mind. This is the most important posture that we've practiced tonight. Shavasana. Practicing surrender and effortlessness. Now that we've moved everything, take a little time just to be and let the breath move as you experience this moment. Please rest here as long as you can. Thank you so much for joining me tonight.